Hello, dear friends. Today we have with us Anil Ghanwat, the president of Swatantra Bharat Party and former president of Shetkari Sangathan and a senior leader of the Shetkari Sangathan. You can see the badge and all the pictures behind of Shetkari Sangathan and, uh, Sharad
Swatandra.
Joshi and other, major leaders of the organization, which is a 40-year-old organization, as many of you are aware. So today, I was interested in actually getting some information on the electricity infrastructure for farmers across the country, and also about the issues that we are facing in Maharashtra with the current minister wanting to recover something like 41,000 crore rupees or something from the farmers for electricity bills, and there's an agitation going on underway, and Anil will tell us about it. And then I also want at the end to discuss about how does this how does this whole thing fit into the concept of no freebies? Because are farmers asking for freebies? I don't think there are. They're basically asking for justice in this case. And we are talking about negative subsidy as well in the future. So, Anil, can you please tell me, first of all, broadly, after 70 years of independence, what is your estimation of the level of electricity infrastructure in India? Is it sufficient for farmers? Has it reached every corner? This is not Maharashtra. This is everywhere. Give us a rough idea.
No, the infrastructure is very, very poor. It hasn't reached all the villages too. The farmers who are applying for electricity connections are not given electricity connections. And the infrastructure is very poor. The poles and the wires which have been installed 40 years ago, the same wires and poles are continued, and they are always getting damaged, and the crops of the farmers are burning because of these failures. So the infrastructure has to be improved very, very much. It has to be improved a lot. So it's a very poor condition of the infrastructure that needs development, that needs the better technology in infrastructure also is required.
And this is across the country, isn't it? Even in
Yeah,
Punjab, do you think that's the same low quality infrastructure they have, or is it a little bit better than
yeah. This is the scenario all over India.
all over
It's
India?
the same thing. Yeah.
And so the when we say poor quality infrastructure, does it mean that the electricity is not regular? Does it mean there is a low quality electricity in terms of voltage? What is the real problem? So it doesn't reach many people, but some people have it. And is it sufficient for them?
No, first thing is that the supply is inadequate. The here farmers here in Maharashtra are given electricity for 8 hours only. In summer, it reduces to merely 4 hours. That too in the night. The electricity is given in the night after 11 o'clock till morning 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock. So the farmer has to stay in the field all night in the water. In these cold winters, the farmers were in the fields. So this is really very, very discouraging for the farmers. And also the quality of the electricity is very poor. The Electricity Act says that in their clause of standard of performance, the farmer should be provided electricity with a voltage of 230 to 240 volts, and it should be continuously without interruption. But we are actually given the electricity with a power of 100 to 180 volts only, and that causes damages of our electricity pumps and other appliances, which the farmer has to bear the cost. And that too, the power is so low, so the time required for pumping the water is doubled, and the electricity used is also doubled. So this is a the injustice done to the farmers, because if you are not going given proper electricity, if you are not giving adequate electricity, how the farmer can earn, how can he get his crop well, and how can he pay the electricity bills?
And
So the
so
quality, the quality given to the industry is very fine, There are no interruptions. Here we have at least 5 to 6 times the electricity is interrupted in 1 hour. The farmer has to run from his field to the well or the canal, wherever the starter is there, wait for the electricity, then again when it comes, then push the button, start it and go to the field. By the time he reaches the field, then again it is interrupted. So it's very, very difficult for the farmers to carry on with such type of supply.
This reminds me very much of what Sharad Joshi used to say, because he had this thing about Bharat and India. And I can tell you, this sounds very much like that, because in cities, you go to the New Delhi city, I don't think there is any power cut at all. You go to the big cities, there is hardly anything of this sort. Power is also 230, 40 volts or whatever. Then you go to smaller cities like Gurgaon, where I am currently here. Here we get power cut about 2 to 3 hours a day, but that's still nothing like what you're saying. You see, it's still reasonably good quality power most of the time. Then you're talking of industry, and as you rightly said, industry is given priority by the government and has been given priority since the independence for their power. There is no problem, but for the farmer, as you rightly said, because what you said is exactly what I have seen in my personal visits to farms across the country when I was in the civil service. It is a very bad situation. So the other thing that
I would like to add one thing in that is the electricity law says that if the farmers are not given uninterrupted full power electricity supply, the damage caused or the loss caused to the farmers has to be compensated by the electricity company, which is never compensated. So we lose our crop, or we have some accidents there, or our implements or the machinery is damaged, and that is never compensated by the electricity company. There is a clause in the electricity law that this has to be done, but it's never done.
So this is the same thing, that the farmers are treated as third-rate citizens or second-class citizens, whatever, and even the law doesn't apply to them, even though it is there in the rules. One of the things I wanted to ask you about, because my understanding is, in the USA, I was mentioning the other day to you, but somebody had come from USA, a professor had come when I was in Melbourne, and they were giving us talk about various energy markets and so on, it's economics and so on. And then I realized that these people in USA have only supplied power through the private sector from the very beginning. They don't even have the government involved in any case. And there has never been a problem of power supply in these countries. It is the most simple thing that if a physics student cannot set up a power station, what is the point of doing basic physics? This is the most elementary business which has been mastered 200 years ago. So I believe, this is my view, that the power situation in India is largely due to the involvement of the government. If the government is able to get out of this and we ensure privatization of this sector, I would believe that the farmers will start getting electricity very rapidly of a very high quality. And also the irrigation issues, will come to that separately some other time, but particularly for water, for electricity.
I remember Sharad Joshi telling us that he was in Switzerland for almost 15 years. In 15 years, there was only power cut was only 3 times, and each time they were informed a month before that they were given letters by post that the power supply will be cut from this time to this time. You make alternative arrangements, take care of your appliances, and on that day when the power supply was to be cut, they were called on the phones and told that please take care of your appliances, make some other arrangements. But here we are facing a very different situation here. Here yes. We are facing power cut several times in 1 hour.
So this is the big issue for me. We are in the discussion paper that I'm working on, and we'll be issuing from the party. Electricity infrastructure to me is a very big issue for farmers. It is the most important, apart from roads, for them to have access to, and that is a job of the government to facilitate. And we'll come to that separately a little bit more in detail. I want to go straight to the Maharashtra issue, in which an agitation is going on, headed by Shetkari Sangathan leaders, and some of them are in jail. Can you just tell the listeners about why the agitation is taking place, what is going on, what are the issues, and what is the solution?
The major issue which triggered this agitation is that the bills which are due towards the farmers, they had to be recovered by the electricity company, and for recovering those bills, the electricity company has started disconnecting villages after villages, total villages in darkness. The power supply is cut for several days. The farmers have now require water for their crops. The Rabi season crops need water at this time, and at this time the electricity supply is not available. The people have dairy farms. They have 20, 25, 30 cows and buffaloes, and they have to drink water, and we have to just pull that water out of the wells for so many animals. Even the public drinking water of supply connection also is also cut. So there's problem of drinking water for animals, human beings. Our crops are drying down. So the farmers have started agitating. Second part is that farmers are given false bills since 2012, because if the farmer is having a water pump of 3 horsepowers, the bill it is billed up for 5 horsepowers, means 2 horsepowers extra without any reason. If he's having a 5 HP motor, the bill is for 7.5 HP motor. If he's having 7.5 HP motor, the bill is for 10 HP motor. And this is just loot. There's no reason the farmer should be charged this way. They say that there is a lot of theft in electricity, so we have to recover it. So we are charging it this way. This is not. It's there to see the theft where it's going on, and then to control it. It's not this way to charge the farmers. So we are telling them to correct the bills. We are ready to pay, but give us the bill for 3 HP, not for 5 HP. So this is the our demand there, that give us correct bills, correct all the bills, and then we are ready to pay, not before that. For the last 40 years, under the leadership of Sharad Joshi, Shetkari Sangatna is saying that the farmers of India are negatively subsidized. They are not allowed to get the prices for their produce, which are given by the international market. They are always subsidized, and the documents which were given to the GATT, World Trade Organization, in 1991, it said that Indian farmers are subsidized up to 72% negative subsidy. And the figure that time Sharad Joshi worked out was, it was 3 lakh crore rupees. 3 lakh crore rupees were looted from the farmers, so from 1980 to 1999. And the OECD report, which came in 2019, its survey was from 2000 to 2019. It says that farmers are still getting negative 14% subsidy, and the amount looted from the farmers is 45 lakh crore rupees. The total debt on agriculture may not be more than 20 lakh thousand crores, but 20 lakh crores. But the loot is 45 lakh crores. So we don't owe anything to the government. The government owes us. So we are not in a position to pay any debts or any electricity bills. They are saying that the government owes us, so we shouldn't pay, and we are not going to pay because the government is holding our money. We are not in a position to pay to the government or to the electricity bills. This is for negative subsidy. And also the false bills, they are charging us more than what we have actually used. And the major thing is that the responsibility of the electricity company is to maintain the infrastructure properly. They are not maintaining it. If a transformer fails, the farmers have to collect the money and get it repaired themselves. The electricity company is not repairing it, or if it takes away for repairing, it's not given back till 2 or 3 months. The 2 or 3 months farmers have to wait for it. So in spite of waiting for such a long period, farmers collect money together and they get it repaired themselves.
which
Then
is
what are these people charging for? If there is no oil in the transformer, the people are collecting money and getting it done. If the wires are damaged, the farmers themselves are doing it. Zero maintenance from the electricity company. Then what are they charging the bills for? This is our question. They should do their job properly. Then we are ready to pay. We don't want any free electricity. We don't want any freebies. We are ready to pay, but we should be allowed to earn so much that we are in a position to pay. The government is not allowing us to earn that amount that we can pay our debts and we can pay the electricity bills. So if you are getting money, we are ready to pay. If you are getting proper electricity, we are ready to pay. Even more than what they are charging, we are ready to pay, but we just want proper electricity, 24 hours supply with at least 22, 30 to 240 volts. Then we can have a good crop and we can earn money and give it to the electricity company. If the government is not regulating the prices of our commodities, then we'll get a good amount of money and we'll pay our debts, we'll repay our electricity bills. For example, now this year, the government has intervened in the soybean trade. They have banned the commodities, they have imported oil, they have imported soya meal, and soybean prices have crashed. It happens in case of onion. Only thing is that this year, it's the first time in history that Indian cotton farmers are getting the prices equal to the international market. And the farmer is earning today. They are getting 10,000 rupees per quintal. If this would have been the position in all crops for all these years, the farmers should have paid everything. We would have staying in a better. We would have been living a better standard of life. Our standard of living would have been improved. We would have generated more jobs. But it's the government who is keeping us poor, who is looting us, who is keeping us debt ridden. So it's the fault of the government, not the farmers. Farmers are ready to pay. We don't want anything free.
Exactly right. This is the whole point. I think what you said there was so valuable, because what you said is farmers will pay more so long as you provide the electricity. You see, this is the whole problem with socialism. In socialism, the government says, let us give these things at subsidized prices, or they will start a government company that will start procuring things, and there'll be a lot of corruption. I mean, having worked in the government for so many years, I know the amount of very deep rooted corruption in these PWD and other companies of this sort, or organizations that deal with infrastructure. They will probably take away 40% of the money for the ministers and for the officers. So the net result is, in this process, you are getting third-rate quality infrastructure, things that the transformers that don't work, oil that is never available in time, as you said. So these companies are completely corrupt and incompetent. They are socialist companies. That's what they always are. If you had a private company that would and there was competition, which is the first step of a private market, is competition, then automatically farmers will go to the company which gives them electricity. So the competition in electricity, which is one of the big issues in economic reforms all over the world, has been going on now for a long time. In retail competition, wholesale competition is all there in the markets all over the world, but India doesn't even have the slightest understanding of these issues. So I think Swatandhra Bharat Party's role is to actually guide the country on changing the policy for electricity infrastructure, making sure that the quality is ensured, and letting the markets choose how they will provide the electricity. There are thousands of ways of providing electricity. So once that is done, farmers get what the electricity they want. They will pay, because at the same time you need the other reforms, and I think that's where the discussion paper that I'm talking about and you'll be issuing will talk about these broader issues of reform, where anti-farmer laws and restrictions have to go, the negative subsidy has to go, and then automatically farmers are rich enough to pay. See, this is the fundamental complete basket of reforms that is required.
I would like to tell you one thing, that there is news in today's Marathi newspapers that the state minister for energy here in Maharashtra is terrifying the farmers that if you are not going to pay, the electricity will be privatized. And if the electricity will be privatized, then you won't get free electricity, or the government won't pay subsidies. This type of fear mongering has started now, and the farmers don't know what's going to happen actually. So this type of fear mongering for creating a mentality in the farmers that privatization and is not good. Actually, these people in the power in the state, they earn a lot out of this.
Yes.
They get lot of money, and they want this system to be like this. So they are saying that there should be any privatization. If there is privatization, we will get better quality of electricity, and we are ready to pay for that. If there is going to be competition, then there will be better quality of electricity. It happens in Bombay. In Bombay, there is Reliance supplying electricity, there is Tata supplying electricity, and if there is some problem and there is a complaint, if that complaint is not addressed within 5 minutes, the call goes automatically to the upper authority. And if it is not addressed within 30 minutes, that guy is suspended. And there is no power cut in Mumbai. One few months ago, there was a power, some problem happened, and 5 minutes only there was a power cut. So there was a havoc in Mumbai. The newspapers carried columns of that news that there 5 minutes there was no electricity. Here for days together we don't have electricity here, and there's not a single line about that in the newspapers. So this whole system, socialist system, has to be changed. We welcome privatization here, and I would once I had written an article last year that if you want to channelize this electricity properly to the farmers, there should be privatization, and each substation it controls electricity for 7 8 villages. It should be given to one company. It will set up solar panels. The farmers will give their land on lease. Approximately 15 acres of land is required for one substation, and the transmission losses which happened here won't be there. They will be minimum, and the farmers will get proper electricity supply the whole day. And if they have batteries in their home, they will have it for all night free. So this is what should
Yeah.
happen, and we want it, but the government is not allowing that to happen. One more thing I would like to say is that when this government or the electricity company is shutting down our electricity supply for 15 days or a month, they are actually causing harm to the food security of India. In the Food Security Act, they have to supply proper electricity, irrigation, infrastructure for maintaining the food security of India. I have given the notice to government of Maharashtra, the electricity board, the in Maharashtra Electricity Regulatory Commission, that uh, they are going against the Indian Food Security Act, and I'm waiting for their answer. They are causing harm to our Indian food security too. So that thing should also be addressed,
Well,
I think.
not only that, I think on the Food Security Act, my views are very simple. We don't need any such act. But leaving that aside, the fact that there's an act, it should be followed. That's what the socialists will
Yeah.
do. They create acts which they cannot follow. But the other point that is also there, when 15 days or something, the power is not in the villages, guess who's suffering? The children of the farmer is suffering. They cannot study. And who suffers? And they are saying, go and, do this studying from home. Not even, they want online. There is no internet, there is no power. How will the students study? So the damage being done to farmers, and this is the systematic damage, I think, that we are, the movement that you are fighting for Sharad Joshi was leading, but you are fighting for, is a very important movement to bring back justice to about 60 to 70% of India's population that has been systematically deprived of any opportunity of progress over the last 70 years. They have been treated like bonded labor, which is what they are effectively, because anytime the price goes up, they will do anything to reduce it. So farmer faces a one-way thing: heads you win, heads I win, tails you lose.
You
Basically
lose
saying you lose both ways. Doesn't matter how
both
the
ways.
prices go in the market. Farmer will always get the low prices. Farmer will get bad electricity. Farmer will get bad roads. Farmer will get bad schools. Farmer will they will if the farmers are blackout for 15 days, the newspaper will not report. This is why I wanted this little English video to actually communicate this message, hopefully to more people across the country, where your message will reach them. The urban people of India, unfortunately, don't understand this problem. That is one of the biggest gaps in our country.
One more thing I would like to tell is that these people don't abide by any law of the government. There was a public interest litigation in Mumbai. The law says that the farmer should be given 15 days prior notice before disconnection, and it should be given chance to pay his bills before the supply is disconnected. And Mumbai High Court has given an order to this company that you won't be you are not allowed to disconnect without giving 15 days prior notice. But they are not following that too. They are creating a contempt of court there too. And we said that they have committed contempt. Take our FIR against the company. They are not doing that. But in spite, they have charged our Sangatna workers with 353 case, section 353, which is session committee case. And our Sangatna workers are in jail for last 8 days. So this is what is happening. They are trying to just crush the agitation this way, pushing false cases on the agitators and trying to crush all the agitation rising against the company. The company is hand in hand with the government, or it's a government company, because if they are charging us with 353, it means that we are obstructing their work, the government's work. If it was not a government company, then it would not have been the 353. It would have been other case. But they are charging us with 353, and that too false cases. Nothing had happened there, and our leaders are there in the jail for last 7 days. So this is what is happening here. The whole system has to change. There should be privatization in the electricity. Let companies come in. Let there be 100 companies. Let there be competition. Then only farmers can get proper electricity at a proper price.
Absolutely, and I think the point you raised, I also wanted to mention the issue about the actual subsidy required for farmers, even in electricity. So all over the world, regional areas, because of the distance involved in transmitting the electricity, sometimes it's not possible to create the electricity locally. In that case, there is a natural disadvantage to the farmer if he has to pay the actual competitive price. So in those cases, all over the world, there is a direct subsidy given to such companies for providing, but that is given at the very top level, and the farmer is paying a price which is competitive with the city dweller. So essentially, what we want is a model which is based on the world's best practice. There is no need for government to be involved in any electricity. There is completely no need for government to be involved in many other things. And so I think all the farmers that you are leading, and Lalit Bahale and Seema Narode and many other wonderful leaders are leading. I wish that they will join this movement for reform, which is a very big reform. It is not just about electricity. It is about the whole thing, getting rid of the laws. And unless the country hears and understands, they will not change. So the reason why the farm laws were failed, because the country could not be explained adequately by Mr. Modi. Now, if these reforms are provided to the country and explanation is given, I think hopefully the country will understand, and then India as farmers and the whole country will therefore prosper. And I hope the people who are, they have just received bail, some of them you mentioned, I really hope that this punishment that they are getting for fighting for their basic rights, stops as soon as possible.
One thing I would like to add is that the subsidy which the state government is paying to the electricity board, we are not receiving that electricity of that value too. When the farmers started complaining the government appointed a committee to survey with this IIT people. They surveyed 999 feeders, and the result was that if the feeder was supplied 1 lakh units, that feeder was built for one and a half lakhs, 1.5 lakhs, or 2 lakhs, even 4 lakhs. So this type of exploitation is going on here. Even we don't have to pay anything to the electricity board, because the government has paid for us already. We have not received that amount of electricity what the government has paid. So we are not paying bills because we don't owe anything to the electricity board.
Well, that's a very interesting point. I wasn't aware of it, because I think if you can prove that the companies are actually not even supplying electricity equal to the value of the subsidy, then I think the companies have to be basically locked up behind bars, because they are doing essentially what is called criminal activity. They are stealing essentially money from the government, as well as trying to demand from the farmers. So this is, I guess, a huge issue what you've just raised. I also think it will be similar in many other parts of the country. So basically, if you can get all the farmers across the country to work together on the reform platform, I think we will hopefully get some significant progress in the coming year in 2022. Because I think the number of agitations that are required have to be escalated so that the farmers' voice is heard. But at the same time, adequate information has to be provided to the community through such conversation, through articles, through papers, and so on. So on the subject of electricity, I will write some more in the discussion paper that I'm working on, and you can have a look at that. So we will have more conversations about these kind of issues in the coming days. Then hopefully, the urban areas will wake up, because I think they are sleeping at the moment. All right, Anil, thank you for that. Wonderful of having you here.
Thank you, Sanjay ji. Thank you very much.